The song does not match the spirit of the mood of the world at the moment. But I'm not sure there's a song you could have played. Maybe the old Sidney Bechet song we used to play before we got copyrighted claim. The very sad one, but the beautifully sad one. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an impromptu and remote version of the DNBA show, a.k.a. the DNVR Nuggets podcast, a.k.a. the COVID canceled the game lounge. I don't know what lounge this is. We're presented as always by Lightshade Dispensary. Eric, you could give a testimonial if you'd like about Lightshade.
Yep, I went there earlier and I bought some of their products, shall we say, and I received a discount, shall we say, by using DNVR.
Yes,
it was tight. It was tight.
Probably the highlight of your day, guys. It's a weird one here. I mean, I do have Harrison Wind with me also. What's up, Harrison?
Oh, nothing, man. I was actually really pumped for the game tonight because I haven't seen a Nuggets game at home since the December 15th loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's the last game I saw in person with all these road games and whatnot. I wasn't here for the Charlotte game, but I was looking forward to getting that taste out of my mouth.
Yeah, so that's the big news today, guys. Well, actually, I don't even know if it's the big news. Here's what people don't know. I know a lot of our viewership and a lot of people watching us don't live in Denver or, I don't know what the numbers are. It's probably somewhere around 50% of the people that tune into the show, both as a live show, but also people that listen to it as a podcast that don't live in Denver and maybe don't realize and think that the number one thing that all of us are thinking about is the Nuggets being canceled. It's actually not. There is in Colorado at this very moment, one of the largest fires in the U.S. in probably the last 50 years. I think when it's all said and done will be one of the bigger fires that we've ever seen. 2 cities completely being evacuated at some points today, Superior and Louisville. Louisville, by the way, only one city away from me now. So I think I'm probably safe, but it's like when I first saw it, I don't know how you guys were, but today I didn't know there was a fire. I just looked outside and there was like an enormous fire that looked like, I thought when I saw it, I thought it was like 1 mile away, but it turns out it was like 7. When did you guys first see all this happening?
I don't know exactly. I don't know. This morning, maybe it's really hitting home for me. I mean, I'm from Boulder. My parents live there. I think they're going to be safe. Thank God. But a lot of people are going to be affected by this. So it's, there's just a lot going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was first the story of the wind. The wind, everybody started reporting on Slack and on Twitter, like just these insane gusts of wind. They were up to like 100 miles an hour. And because Colorado has been so like unbelievably dry, we're used to having, if not snow on the ground, at least it having had snowed in a reasonable amount at this point in the year.
Eric, it's going to snow tomorrow. It's supposed to snow tomorrow.
I know.
And there's a fire blazing today.
It's disgusting. Yeah, like normally, I mean, you would have these grasses that would be, sort of like turning to tundra almost at this point in time.
Right.
Like they would be
Correct.
at least be, have snow on them at some point that would like slowly seep into them, so they wouldn't be essentially just tinder, which they are now. Like right now, it's unbelievable. Like all of Colorado is essentially just like wadded up newspaper, just like waiting for any little spark, and the wind is just turning it into just magnifying it to like a terrifying degree. Like we don't, fires in this area are not uncommon at all coming down out of the mountains. But again, like definitely not this time of year. This is just becoming more and more part of our lives, and it's I mean, there's no more helpless feeling. Like fires are so slow moving and they just take forever to extinguish, days and days and days. And you are literally helpless. It's the worst feeling in the world.
It is. And yeah, people are asking, is this normal? Like, no, I mean, to be honest with you, maybe this is just my perspective, but growing up, I don't really remember fire season. I remember there were fires, but I don't remember it being a season. It was more like, oh, there is a fire or something like this. Over the last like 4 or 5 years, it's like fire season is this like 2, 3, 4 month long thing that happens basically from June till September, where it's like, there's sort of just constantly a fire going in the mountains at some point, but it's usually the mountains. It's like away. And then, December, this is just the longest we've ever gone without snow. It's really weird. And as Harrison mentioned, hopefully on the way, but it's just a perfect scenario. And by the way, those winds are crazy. You're right. that was I forgot already. This day's been so long. I forgot that it was like windy as hell to start. That's how this all started. So, our thoughts are obviously with our audience. I'm sure we have a lot of people in Boulder, in Superior, and in Louisville. So everybody stay safe, and get out of there, evacuate if that's what the orders are bringing you to. I have challenged super producer Kale because this has been a heavy week, guys. Okay, the Nuggets, that's why you're here. Nuggets game got canceled tonight. That's always a bummer. We've had this fire. We also had the shooting a couple days ago in Colorado. This has been like a pretty heavy week in Colorado. I think you could see it of all of us right now. You could see it on Eric's face. He is definitely feeling the weight of a very heavy 48-hour period here in Denver, Colorado. But I've challenged super producer Kale to hopefully our show, we always want to be like somewhat positive. Even when we're covering, like even a loser's lounge, we try to be like, you know what, we suffer together. We're not trying to sugarcoat anything, but we want this to be a place where people come and feel a real connection to each other in the chat, to us, and to just try to like enjoy our suffering and enjoy our highs when we're not suffering. Today we're suffering for reasons that are outside of basketball, so that's a little bit more difficult. But we'll try to still entertain and talk about some of the most important stuff. The first thing here, guys, to set the table now as we get back to the Nuggets, the story was, we didn't want to mention this. Jamal Murray goes down at Chase Center. Will Barton goes down at Chase Center. Michael Porter, I am told, I don't know the validity of this one, but that the injury in the preseason first occurred at the Golden State Warriors in Chase Center, the preseason game. It had been a bit of a house of horrors, so much so I didn't even want to say anything. Like, I didn't want to jinx it. And then you get out with a win, nobody gets hurt, you think, awesome. Turns out we were wrong. It just was a slow-moving curse this time. The Nuggets come down with COVID. So Bones Highland, Jeff Green, and who's the third one?
Zeke Naji.
All are in the protocols right now. That lowered, with all the other guys questionable for Denver, that lowered the number to a low enough amount that the NBA said no game. So that's what we're dealing with. Harrison, do you have any indication? Is this a thing where we should expect those guys to be gone for 10 days, 5 days, 6 days? I mean, what's your sense on, we just talk about the health and safety portion of this?
Well, I think, didn't the NBA just lower the isolation time to 5 days?
5 days. That'd be 2 games.
Right. So that's 2 games. So those guys definitely, most likely aren't going to be on this road trip, which I don't have a ton of confidence that we're going to see like a real Nuggets team on these next 2 games. That's if these 2 games play, because look, there could very well be more positive tests tonight or tomorrow within the team. That's just how these things happen. So bring up your best available free agents or your like NBA stat leaderboards from 2010, because they're probably going to have to sign a bunch of 10-day guys or a couple 10-day guys to be able to play these next 2 games at Houston on Saturday and at Dallas on Monday, if those games get played.
Great point brought up, by the way, by David here. Michael Malone also, I forgot. You almost forget because there's so much news today. He also in the protocols. So
and assistant coaches.
And at least 2, right? At least 2 assistant coaches. I'm not sure which ones, but okay.
My God, man, it's so crazy. Like, the absurdity of this sports year is just becoming so, I don't know. It's just coming into focus so much more than it has. Just all of these players and like just throwing anybody in, because I was talking about this earlier, like the whole point of sports are to entertain and to keep us entertained, and frankly they serve a really important purpose. Like,
really important.
If we had sports to focus on right now, it would be probably less it'd feel less hopeless. You at least have something to entertain yourself, which is more important than people give it credit for. But man, like, just the idea of just joylessly jamming through these games, or like they have to happen because they just have to happen. We have this schedule, and like it's none of the same players, and it's like, who is this for? Like, what are we doing? Like, aren't these supposed to exist so that we get some benefit out of them, as opposed to just like ramming them through because the great clock says it must be so? It's bizarre. I mean, like, days like this, like, really give you purpose.
Can I push back on this though, Eric? And honestly, I'm just asking you this. What should the league do? Because I honestly look at this as just like a lose situation. Like, every option is like, that sucks. That's unfair. That's not logistically possible. So what are you sort of hinting at here?
I think that, players that are teams that are affected to a even like lesser degree than what the Nuggets are facing, should have games postponed and push back till, we can actually get the real product in play. Otherwise, like, I don't really, it's bizarre to just watch a team that is only your team in name alone and like not any of the actual players that you have been following or have any bearing on, theoretically who will be competing at the big moments at the end of the year that these games are, leading up to. It's just, I don't know. I mean, you're right. Obviously, like we saw last year, shutting down the league, like, was largely damaging to not only the, just the local communities, the economy,
Right.
all these things that you don't want to talk about because it feels like really gauche and like really,
It's
I don't
not
know,
though. That's
impersonal.
the thing.
I know. I know. I agree. It's, it is a rock and a hard place situation. I just hate the idea though, that we're just playing these games, that the existence of these games feels like it's bigger to me than just having to have them happen because they have to happen. You know what I mean?
Harrison, do you think it's logistically possible to delay? I mean, the thing we keep hearing is that there's all these dates are set in stone. Concerts are back, so now these arenas have to they have concerts lined up. That's what it seems like to me. Is it's just not logistical to move the playoff schedule,
Yeah.
which means if you make up these games, even as is, Denver now has 2 games to make up. Already, you're looking at that and you're like, yeah, that's just going to screw the entire rest of the season. So much so that if you gave the Nuggets a choice right now to say, you can make up this game against Brooklyn, but it's going to give you like no days off from now till May, or same with the Warriors, or you could just forfeit these games. I bet Denver would say, we forfeit. That's fine.
I agree.
Oh, that's absolutely what the league should be doing. These shouldn't be postponements. These should be forfeits, and the win goes to whatever team is ready to play. That's how it should have happened in Brooklyn when that Nuggets-Nets game was postponed 2 weeks ago. That's what
Right.
should have happened today. Like, there's not going to be opportunity to make up these games. Friend of the show, Ryan Blackburn, put out like his 4 best dates for this Nuggets-Warriors game to be rescheduled.
So bad.
And only one of those openings is Ball Arena available for. Like, there's Avs games, there's lacrosse games, there's concerts. These arenas are booked out months and months and months in advance. So to keep the league on schedule, which we know is an absolute priority of the players, of the commissioner, you can't take a month break. You just can't. If you want a regular season that has some integrity, which is a crazy thing to think about because it doesn't really have much integrity right now even. So I don't see really a way they can postpone it.
Right. This is the dilemma that I think they're in, is there's just no good solution. So and by the way, look, you I don't make this opinion public too often, but I really don't like Adam Silver. I feel like he's actually a really bad commissioner. And I've said this for you. He was very popular for a while, so I didn't want to, be the guy against it. Also, I just don't I don't, there's no need for me to say this or that, but I'm going to come to his defense in one way from a lot of the criticisms I hear. And that is, people say the plan coming into this league. The plan coming into this league was a different world. COVID, it was different 4 months ago. The understanding of it and where expectations were different 4 months ago than what they are right now with this new Omicron variant. And I think that a lot of what is happening right now has happened so quick and so unpredictably that the NBA is almost in some ways dealing with a completely different problem than what they set out to solve. And so that's why I give a lot of slack to the league is so effed up right now. But I look at it and I go, there's nothing anybody could have done. But here's the part I hate to say, guys, and I'll throw it to you first, Eric. I said this 3 weeks ago because I felt like it was true 3 weeks ago. This year is feeling less real to me than the bubble year and last year. If you had to rank the realness of the years, the bubble year at least had all of the guys. They were in a bubble. There was no fans. That was a huge variable. But at least the guys were playing. At least it was your team versus ours. Right now, at least 50% of the NBA games that have happened over the last month have been against either one team that is at a huge disadvantage because of injuries or health and safety protocols, or 2 teams like we saw this on Tuesday, Nuggets Warriors, which even then I look at and I go, does that mean the Nuggets are better than the Warriors? It doesn't mean anything. It's just a game that happened and you move on. So Eric, does this feel less real than the last 2 years?
Well, I would say like any mention of anything that happens in the regular season is unreal. Like really, a lot of the ways that most people look at the NBA regular season is just a prelude to the playoffs anyway. And I feel like even with a smaller number of games, we'll probably still have a very good idea of the stratification of who are the good teams and who are the less good teams. And, it's really like, more often than not, there's some race that goes down to the end, but you kind of have an idea, at least at this point in the season, of like where it's heading. And so, I can see, as Win says, because of time, like just canceling some games and, whether it's forfeits or whether it's just, we just carve out this chunk of games and then we get back in, maybe a week or two or whatever it's, I don't know. This is funny because this is what we did 2 years ago when we're like, well, we'll probably be back to life in what, like a month or maybe a couple weeks.
Jesus,
and it's funny
I
you say
never want to
like,
go back to like,
I know.
If I woke up from a dream and it's like, you've been dreaming since March 15th, 2020 or whatever, I'd be like, no, like, I never want to go back to that time.
I know. Yeah. Like it's funny you say like, we don't know that much about this now, or we know less, whatever. Like we don't know a goddamn thing about COVID. We know nothing. There are nothing but like regulations that do work, don't work. Everybody has different ideas. Like it's just, as far as like all of humanity getting on the same page and like understanding something that people act like is created by human beings and easily control. There's just an easy solve. Like, oh, you just do this and then it's fine. Like people mad that they're getting COVID, even though they were vaxxed and they were followed all the rules. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like life is chaos. So you can't, there's just so much chaos in this.
It does remind me of like, I was just talking to Jared Dubin about this earlier today about how every team comes up with the one trick that would fix all of their problems. It's like, if you would just play Bones 5 more minutes,
of course,
Nuggets would be the 1 seed. It's like, it's how the world is, right? Everybody has the like one little fix that makes everything make sense. And it's just do that thing.
I know.
But
yeah, it's like, I mean, especially on a day like today, when you look at what is happening in Boulder, like it's the same thing. It's the people describe the spread of virus as like wildfire. Like that's what that looks like.
Jesus, man. So
I'm serious. Like,
no, you are
like,
right. I'm saying it was like so fast the way today just changed completely, where you're like, oh,
yes,
today's the day the city burned down. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Comes from nowhere and just keeps going.
Bringing this back, though, staying on basketball here as best we can, Harrison. Do you feel like this season is less real than the previous two?
Definitely less real than last year. And I mean, the thing about the bubble was like we had 3/4 of an absolutely normal regular season. It was the regular season was pretty much done when COVID hit in March, and then the bubble was more real than this. That's for sure. But that's why I think like the forfeit idea is something that people could get behind, because these games, man, we actually really already know who like the best teams in the NBA are and who are, the teams heading for the lottery. A forfeit idea just to get through the regular season on schedule, that's priority number one, obviously. Like, the replacement players, these 10-day hardship exceptions, which nobody even knew existed before this season. Those are only put in place to stay on schedule. So if that's like the number one priority, like let's just have these as forfeits.
Yeah, I honestly think forfeits would be better. Look, somebody's going to end up getting screwed. Like, it's just how it's going to happen, but somebody's going to get screwed. And it might be the Nuggets, by the way. Like, one of the things I'm looking at, the Nuggets have 3 players in COVID protocols. Like, there's still a lot of players that have not entered it at any point, and maybe they won't. But as we're seeing with all these teams, like most teams, or not most, maybe a third of the NBA teams right now have had like 7+ guys enter the protocols at some point. And I just get the sense that with this new variant, every team is going to have to go through it. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, Denver hasn't gone through it. Even with these 3 guys, like you still have a bunch of players who haven't gone through it. And I'm looking at it going, okay, well, they're on the road a little bit, still early, whatever. If this trickles out for Denver and they have like different pods of 4 guys going into the COVID protocols all the time. If this happens at a point when Denver has a 6-game homestand and all of a sudden you have to play with nothing but replacement players, you just blew your best opportunity of a winning streak, like games you were meant to stack wins. So it's going to screw somebody. I hope it's not the Nuggets, but everybody's kind of going through it. And maybe with any luck, just a little bit of luck, we'll get through this winter season. We'll get into the playoffs and it'll feel normal. And then you could say, okay, well, the best team won. It got normal at a certain point.
What do you think of this idea? What if at the end of whatever this regular season is, all it does is just establish seeding, and then the playoffs include every team in the NBA?
Man, I mean, again, logistically, it would just be so hard. And I do. The one thing I will say is, let's do this for fun. Actually, why don't we take a break and let's do this on the other side? Because I want to just do a quick little matchup and see if there's anybody that gets screwed out of this. Like, oh shit!
What if we all just went into a bubble at Disney World? What if we did that?
It's gonna be like the Lakers end up playing the Jazz in the first round somehow, and it's gonna be like, yeah, that's a tough break for you, Utah. Sorry.
Totally.
Guys, check out Lightshade Dispensary. Maybe turn that music down just slightly, Kale. Lightshade Dispensary has 10 locations in the Denver metro area, 11, soon to be 11 locations in the Denver metro area and Aurora as well. They offer something for everyone from the casual consumer to the connoisseur. Lightshade has a premium selection of cannabis concentrates, top shelf flower, edibles, tinctures, accessories, and much more. DNVR podcast listeners, you guys can get 25% off non-sale items with the code DNVR. That's at any Lightshade location. That's also available online. You can order at lightshade.com and pick up at any of those 10 locations. Remember to use the code DNVR for 25% off non-sale items. That's at Lightshade, Colorado's premier dispensary. And guys, at DraftKings Sportsbook this week, the NFL season's obviously winding down. The playoffs will be here before you know it. At DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, the offers are getting even more amazing. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game. If they do, you win $200 in free bets. Don't miss out on that action. DraftKings Sportsbook customers also can get in with same-game parlays. They've got those for NBA as well. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR. Bet just $5 on any NFL team and win $200 in free bets if they're victorious. Promo code DNVR this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Alrighty, back here. So Eric has a solution. Everybody makes the playoffs. Now, here's the one hard part about the solution, Eric. I'll let you solve this first objection. Does that mean the 15th team in the league gets cut out? Does it mean there's a bye week? How do we do this?
You could have a bye.
It actually makes sense if you have a bye week, because then you would get down to 8, which is then a number that reduces itself.
Yeah, you get the top team in the entire league gets a bye in the first round.
All right, so at this very moment, the Warriors get a bye. The Suns take on the Rockets. That seems fair. The Jazz take on the Thunder. That seems fair. The Grizzlies take on the Pelicans. That's tough, man. It's funny because I think of Memphis and New Orleans as like the same team because they started rebuilding at the exact same time, and it's worked out really well for one of those.
They have similar colors, kind of.
Well, that's not so much in my factoring, but okay. You get, oh my God, can you guys believe it? Denver versus Portland.
The rivalry continues.
Dude,
I like our seed there. Man. I like our seed. That's a great seed. I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
That's a great seed. That's a 5-game series at most. Clippers, Sacramento. Okay. Lakers, Spurs. Classic. Mavs, Timberwolves. Okay. So then that leaves you the 1-8. So then Denver takes on Memphis in the second round. Then actually everything becomes normal. I feel like through doing this thought experiment, Eric, that just adds an extra round where the same exact teams get eliminated first.
Yeah, but you can say that nobody can just be outraged that they felt like their opportunity to get in the playoffs was stolen because of health and safety protocols and by just things that are outside of their control. Like we're just saying essentially that you can't count on this regular season to necessarily because there's always at the end of the year, there's like movement between like the last, 4 or 5 teams. There's jockeying that takes place. Like my initial thought was like, okay, let's expand the play-in, but then it's like, dude, let's just make the whole thing a tournament. Like, why not?
Nothing else, Harrison? You with it?
No. I'm
Really?
No, I mean, I just
March
don't
Madness
think that's
in that way.
I don't know, man. Like, look, if that's the case, I mean, if we want to like really try to include everybody that could make the playoffs, like they did for the bubble, just have like Sacramento and Portland and San Antonio battle it out for the last play-in spot. Like, we don't need to include Houston, Oklahoma City, and New Orleans in
That's
this
so true.
or Detroit or Orlando or
we don't
Indiana.
need to pretend that the Rockets missed the playoffs because of COVID this year.
Like Orlando isn't suddenly going to have this second half turnaround after swinging a big trade at the deadline. That's not going to happen.
No, but I sort of like am also thinking about the idea that this is supposed to be for entertainment, right? Like, what's better than more playoff games, like more like that. I mean, I can see, like you're saying.
I think the big takeaway is that if we were to do what you're saying, I still feel like we end up with the same 8 teams. And in saying that, like, maybe we don't, but I'm saying that maybe we are overstating just how much chaos there is. Now, I have no doubt that the Phoenix Suns, who, by the way, are 1-1 now since losing Ayton, that a part of why they are at the top of the standings out west is because they've had a great luck. Like, their luck has run really hot this year. I also think they're just a good team. So, like, to me, I think at the end of the year, you might still have an opportunity. The season does feel weird. It seems game by game seems very gimmicky. Yeah. I have no idea if the Nuggets, what they're going to look like at the end of the season. Like, none of these games are predictive of that the way usually you feel like games are. But that being said,
if you just look at the last 3 teams in each conference, Houston, Oklahoma City, New Orleans in the West, Detroit, Orlando, Indiana in the East, like, those teams aren't in the cellar because of COVID.
Right.
They're in the cellar because they suck.
New Orleans is the one I would say maybe. New Orleans is the one that's had some bad luck.
Well, he's injured. It's not COVID.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm just saying you're right. It's injury. Portland. How is Portland 1 game ahead of Oklahoma City and New Orleans? How sad is that? Oof, that is so sad, man.
It's actually kind of sad.
It's actually kind of sad. Fans. Well, the Nuggets are the 5 seed. I do want to do, because I know that people want this. Draymond Green did take to the Twitter sticks today to voice some frustration that he feels. I'll let you guys cook first here. First of all, did you guys see this? The Draymond Green. Yes. I mean, he had time today. I mean, he's sitting in his hotel room doing nothing but breathing smoke, I'm guessing. He says, "How do you continue to cancel games when you've implemented rules to prevent this from happening? Is that not a competitive advantage for other teams? The guys we didn't have due to the protocol list played no role in Tuesday's loss. Pick a side, but don't straddle the fence." Wind, fair or foul of Draymond Green to voice a complaint here?
I might get canceled for this, but I can kind of see where Draymond's coming from, to be totally honest. So a very similar thing happened to the Nuggets in Brooklyn, 2 weeks ago. The Nuggets had enough players to play. The Nets didn't. And the Nuggets almost went up against a very undermanned, like 8-player available Nets team. Right. And it would have been an easy win. And Denver, would have gotten out of there with a win over a good team. And they postponed the game because they couldn't come up with 8 players to play. From like Draymond Green's side of things, I can actually kind of see where he's coming from, because look, like, the Nuggets already had all these guys injured. They didn't know if they were going to be able to play today. They already knew, I think, coming into today, if there was any sort of a COVID outbreak that we know can happen at any time, that game was probably going to have to be postponed. Maybe not necessarily from just the COVID outbreak, but from COVID plus the guys that are already injured. They're already down so many bodies. So I bet Draymond's saying, and I bet a lot of other players are out there are saying, why didn't Denver sign guys to 10-day deals so they'd be ready to play today? And, maybe that wasn't logistically possible. Maybe they couldn't get to Denver in time. I'm sure that had something to do with it. But the Atlanta Hawks right now have 12 guys in protocols and are playing games.
Right.
So teams are figuring out ways to do it. So, look, this is hitting every team. The Nuggets just went through this when they should have gotten a win against Brooklyn, and that game was postponed. It's crazy circumstances for everyone, but I can actually kind of see where he's coming from.
Eric, do you want to come to the defense of Nuggets Nation and dunk on him?
Of course. Well, I'm not going to dunk on Harrison. Like, we're at a place where just things are supremely frustrating. Like, I'm at the point where I can't like really get mad at anybody for being mad about the things that are being taken from
perspective. By the way, Eric, that's healthy.
I like to think that I live a 1% healthy life. But the point is that like, it sucks. It totally sucks. They travel out here. They're mad because Draymond specifically is mad because he watched his Warriors lose because very clearly he wasn't part of the game last time. What Harrison said though actually goes in the favor of the Nuggets. I think like this is not the first team that this has happened to. Like if you can't field a team in time, like you cancel the game.
But the thing is there are these rules that the NBA has put in place so games don't have to get postponed. Like they have this 10-day contract thing so you can get guys in immediately so you can play games. And it's crazy and it's screwed up and like there's no integrity to these games, but there's rules in place so they don't get postponed. And like the news teams have been navigating that.
Yeah, but it came out today. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
It wasn't one guy; it was 3-4 guys. Like, and that's difficult. That was already on a razor's edge, and then there's just, it's very clearly just a logistical thing that NBA isn't conspiring against the Warriors to make sure that they are punished. Where that's kind of his underlying premise is that like, why are we being unfairly punished when other people have been rewarded for being on the other side of this, which is just absolutely not true. It's just, he's just frustrated and he's got Twitter and he's also like not reading the room. The fact he could just look outside and see the big plume of smoke coming from Boulder and maybe like,
I actually don't think he's here though, right? Because he's in protocol. So I'm guessing, because you're right.
So.
I do. That was my one thought of all of this. Because again, people on the outside, they're thinking we're only thinking about the game. None of us are actually thinking about the game today. And so, yeah, read the room. But I don't think he realized that.
He does. He didn't. He's frustrated and he's probably in quarantine and like whatever. Like I get it. Right. It's just he's wrong. He's just like he's just like he's not right about this. Like it's just not how it's working. It's just it just sucks. It sucks. It's another thing that sucks.
I'm going to cancel myself as well and say that while I understand why Nuggets fans are also upset or roll their eyes or whatever the response is to Draymond, and somebody said that part of what was wrong was that he made it sound like the Nuggets fully healthy beat no, both teams were banged up. Like that game was a joke and it's not indicative of anything. Just Denver happened to win with their C version and Warriors lost with their C version. Doesn't mean anything. So he kind of implied that, which I get. He's a proud guy. He's a 3-time champion. He's got his pride. But the part I feel like I give him a pass for, I said the same shit during the Brooklyn game when the Nuggets got like Brooklyn did the thing where they went to Orlando, played a game, had a game the exact same night with the exact same number of available players. The NBA
and that was before they had this 10-day hardship exception thing.
So that's my whole point, is that I just said this exact same stuff. It was like you just took a game that was a guaranteed win for Denver, albeit under unlucky break for Brooklyn, and instead you turned it into an unlucky break for Denver, where they're almost certainly going to lose because they're going to have to fly all the way to Brooklyn to make up this game.
Yeah. So hold on, let me just summarize here. So what you're saying is because you yourself are a flawed human being, Draymond Green is given a pass.
Yeah, exactly. I'm flawed in a way. I appreciate. The state. Hold on, let me see. Now Broomfield has an area to be evacuated, and it's not me. That's farther. Thank you, Kale, for that update. But that is farther west than me.
You don't have to evacuate mid-show.
How weird that we get an announcement mid-show that I have to like keep updated on this thing. I mean, it's not that far, but it ain't me yet.
Yeah. Look, here's my last thing on this.
Jesus.
Like the teams right now, with how quick this variant spreads and how anybody can get it at any time and how you don't know if you have it, teams right now need to have like 5 guys on standby for 10-day contracts that can like fly the morning up to games. It sounds absolutely ridiculous. It's crazy. It's wild that this is the world we're living in, but that's like what needs to happen for these games to continue.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And it's funny, we were talking about this earlier. Like, I really viewed us finally getting a G League squad as essentially just having like a backup roster that you could call upon. But it's funny, like all of our players are going to the Heat, to the Lakers, to the whatever. Like, it's just all of our cupboards are being, just left bare. I guess that means we have to just take from other teams, but bizarre. Like, it seems like you would have agreements in place with your G League squad. Otherwise, I mean, it's clear it just doesn't operate the same as minor league baseball. You really don't have any ownership or rights over these players. You're just allowing them a place to play. And
that's the thing. Yeah. Like we just saw Stauskas and Chalmers went down to Miami.
Yes.
They just got picked up.
Yes.
By the way, Denver, they continue to churn out.
I know.
Are they number one? Is the Grand Rapids Gold number one in churning out?
They have to be.
Players?
Have to be.
Yeah,
all of them. The entire cast. Who's?
I think the starting five is gone. Actually,
Zlatan Cheatham or whatever even got picked up. Like whatever. I can't remember his name was.
Yeah.
So,
Xylem Cheatham. Yeah.
Tim Conley is responsible right now for like 50 players who are in the NBA, and half of them weren't even drafted.
Yeah, Tyler, Lance Stevenson is gone. Who did Lance go to? He went to the.
I can't even remember.
He's playing like 30 minutes
or something.
For the Hawks.
So the Hawks. That's what it is. The Hawks. That's right.
Isaiah Thomas left. Like Isaiah Thomas also signed with the Dallas today. Did you see that?
Oh, I did. And then he entered the health and safety protocols immediately. He's in the health and safety protocol. They signed him to a 10-day. They're going to pay for his entire quarantine. It's just unbelievable. The world we're in right now. Pets' heads are falling off. All right, let's take our final break, and we're going to refresh. Try to have a little bit of fun. And how best to have fun, Eric, than to make fun of the Lakers coming up?
Let's go. Finally, let's make life make sense again.
Lakers LOL edition.
Finally got to that part of the show. Thank the good Lord. Thank you. Guys, people are what make ball special. People at every level at ball come into work each and every day and give 100% to accomplish their goals. We're talking about ball, of course, is in Ball Arena. Ball came to us, and they are looking to add line capacity to their Golden plant right here in Golden, Colorado. They're looking to hire production technicians at the front line of their can-making operation. The position pays $27.39 per hour with potential increases at 6, 12, and 18 months. If you want more information, jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or you can text Golden to 77222. Again, jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or you can text Golden to 77222. If you're looking to maybe take out a loan and buy a house right now, hit up the good folks at Chevalier Mortgage. Mike and Virginia Chevalier, visit them at dnvrmortgage.com. Get set up with a free consultation when you go there. They've been in the mortgage business forever. They know all the ins and outs. They know all the tricks of the trade. They can make what can look like a really intimidating process super, super easy for you. So like I said, visit them at dnvrmortgage.com. You can call Virginia, 303-257-6578. You can call Mike, 970-412-2472, or visit them at dnvrmortgage.com. Michael Chevalier, NMLS number 1931006. Virginia Chevalier, NMLS number 1910631.
Are we good? We back?
Are we back? Man, I timed it perfectly. I just went outside my house. I actually can see the fire.
Cool, bro.
It's a little crazy. Hopefully the wind dies down here. I guess I'm not too far away. The Lakers, guys. You want to talk about a real fire? Okay, that was not right. Sorry, I did that.
Oh, too soon, man.
Way too soon. The Lakers, total dumpster fire right now. Did you guys watch the game last night? Hate watching the Lakers right now.
I don't watch bad teams play, Adam.
Well, you've watched the Nuggets.
Just only the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Nuggets at least are above 500.
Last night, man, they have a giant lead. It's a 20-point lead or something like that. Slowly blow it to the Memphis Grizzlies all the way down to the buzzer where, I don't know if you saw the play, LeBron gets it he was on fire till the fourth quarter, and then he just turned into a pumpkin. And then the last play, scrambled, he runs to the lane, jumps, and just throws the ball directly to, I can't remember, Desmond Bain or whoever it was that stole it. I'm telling you guys, this Lakers team I honestly think they suck. Like they have a chance to turn it around whenever AD gets back. But I'm watching them and I'm like, I just think they are terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think you're entirely wrong. Yeah.
Their construction is hilarious. I mean, this is one of these things, like, we saw it come together. We were like, what? Like, bringing all these like super old players together that like don't really even make sense outside of the fact that they're like known names in the NBA, and they're just like, well, it'll probably work. Russell Westbrook and LeBron James like are literally the worst pairing I can think of.
I will say I am delighted though at the amount of like trade, because you started the season. It's like, if we have to trade Westbrook, we can get Lillard, we could get Jason Tatum, or we could get, like whatever. And now it's like some of the names that are being thrown out in a Westbrook trade are absolutely hilarious. Like, oh my God, we get Reggie Bullock or something? Like, you're just like, what?
And the sad answer is no. You can't match up those salaries.
Well, that's the greatest thing about the Westbrook trade chatter is just like, he makes so much money that he can only be traded for guys who also make a ridiculous amount of money who have been trying to get traded also. It's like John Wall, Ben Simmons, just like guys like that.
If they end up with Ben Simmons out of this, that would be just absolutely horrible.
Ben Simmons, yeah, that would be horrible. I don't think they will, though. Like, come on. Rajon Rondo did get traded, though. Speaking of Lakers trades, he's in Cleveland. And actually, there is one thing, like, I don't want this to sound insensitive. Ricky Rubio was having a great season with the Cavs, and he was an unrestricted free agent, and he was having one of those years going into free agency where he might have gotten another deal where some team overpays for him, because even though he's not perfect, he's really good. Denver, he was going to be out of Denver's league. Terrace said, we know this from Jamal Murray. Just count 12 months. We're in December. Let's say December 1st is when he returns. I think most teams would look at Ricky. I think he lost a lot of money. He was going to be an unrestricted free agent. Now you're looking at signing him to a deal. It'd be a half a year in that first year. I have a feeling he might just not get signed or whatever. And I think Ricky Rubio would be perfect for Denver. I honestly do, at a low price. And now I just look at that and I go, I wonder if Rubio is an option next year, where it's like, hey, he's not going to be there for 2 months, but when he is, and as you work towards the playoffs, he could be a perfect, like, sort of backup guard and maybe even close games with Denver at the 2. What do you think about that, Harrison?
Oh, I love it. I'm a big Ricky Rubio guy. I think he'd be great in Denver. Super, super steady. And yeah, you can play him with a bunch of different guys. And look, if you're thinking about any potential free agent for Denver next season, that guy has to be making a very, very low amount of money, because the Nuggets aren't really going to have anything to spend in free agency. But if Ricky Rubio wants to come for a minimum deal and that's all he can get, that would be great.
Well, I love this idea. It is true. This is the thing about it, though. Denver just went through the year, we're in purgatory because everybody's injured, and they came into the season with an injured player and this or that. Like, the idea of signing an injured guard going into next year is like maybe too unpalatable. But I don't know.
Denver has a type,
I know. The other thing is, I think probably a lot of teams are having this exact same thought that we are. Like, when you look at a player like Ricky Rubio, who is having, not only coming off of the FIBA performance, like he was amazing at the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was really balling out there. Like, he was playing like a lot of people I think didn't even realize he could anymore, and then come right into just the right situation in Cleveland, and he's absolutely like resurrected his career and people's opinion of him. I'm sure that this thought of like, well, maybe we can just kind of steal Ricky Rubio away is like one that, every year we're always like, oh, there's like a guy or two that we are thinking we might be able to target and get, and then they go for 2 first-round draft picks and like some ungodly amount of a haul. So I mean, I would love it. Of course, like that's an absolute position of need for us, is to have although with Jamal Murray back, we'll see, because Monte Morris slides into that backup point guard role, so maybe it doesn't seem as dire at that point. But I mean, give me a break. You can never have too many good players.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. He probably will be still priced out, but I don't know. It is an interesting one where maybe it's that 1 year rehab year. He signs a 1 year deal with some team. Maybe he doesn't even sign right away, and Denver I don't know. Rubio, to me. Somebody said George Karl's infiltrated Adam's brain. It's so true, man. He talks about the need for a true point guard, and there's like 4 of them out there. Ricky Rubio is one of them. Great defender, So you already have that. Like, you need a great defender out on the perimeter. And then just a guy that makes Jokic's job easy. Yes, please. I'll take that.
Yeah,
I know for sure.
And if you're talking about someone to infiltrate your brain, like maybe one of like the top 10 winningest coaches of all time,
sixth winningest coach ever. Yeah.
maybe like a decent person.
So true. Yeah, that idiot. Come on, no way.
Why are you listening to that old coot? Right? Like.
We did ask for some mailbag questions, and we got a couple of them. So we'll end with all of these. The first one from our guy Josh Barnett down under. He says, "Happy New Year's, fellas! Do you legends have any personal goals for 2022? Thoughts with those affected by the fires over there? We sure know how that feels down there. Do you want to share your diary, D-Line?"
Oh, absolutely. My diary. Do you want me to open it up, or
yeah, dear diary,
everybody, dear diary. This next year, I promise to. Let's see. Oh, we brought the question up.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna just keep.
Did you think Kale was bringing up your diary?
I don't know what I thought Kale was bringing up. Like maybe like an image of me. I don't know. I couldn't even guess. But I think I'm so mired in the horror that is every day that I've not thought about the future. So let me put a pin in that, old Josh. I'll come back to it.
Harrison, you got some goals that you want to share with the world here? More win times?
I want to brunch more.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I go out to brunch more.
Oh, go out to brunch more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Just brunch more in general.
What did you think he meant?
Just to eat more. I don't know. Like eat more brunch. Like
to prepare his own brunch more often.
Yeah, to prepare his own brunch more. Been a good goal going out to breakfast more. I'm like, okay.
It's a big goal of mine this coming season. Yeah.
You seem like you have a lot of brunch energy.
Oh,
I mean, it's my favorite meal. So
Harrison has peak brunch energy.
Especially with the hat on backwards. He definitely
oh my god, dude. Nothing says I'm willing to wait an hour and a half for eggs like wearing a backwards shirt for the
podcast. I would say mine just to be kinder.
Oh. Do you think you could start with those? Do you feel like you could start with those closest to you, like at work or something? Just as an example.
More to strangers, I was thinking.
I have a good goal. I have a good personal goal for 2022. Don't get divorced. That's my goal.
Oh, hell yeah.
First,
good luck, by the way.
Second, don't get divorced. Okay,
yep.
That's a good plan.
Yep.
That's a good
you know
plan.
what? You know what? We'll keep that train on the tracks is brunch. Ironically, so you're right on track.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Next question comes in from X Topher. He says, "Why do we sign Dave on to another 10-day instead of waiving someone and giving him a roster spot?" I have a feeling, Harrison, this is where this train ends. It just might not have been this stop.
Yeah, it's just like you're pushing off the inevitable, and you're getting closer and closer to the edge. You know. Look, there's two guys they could waive to give him a full-time roster spot. It's either Bull or Vlatko. And I think they definitely move to waive Bull before waiving Vlatko. But yeah, there will come a time when I think there will come a time when Denver doesn't have the 10-day hardship exception available anymore. Maybe they just have it for the rest of the season. I don't know. But I think there's probably a time coming when they don't, and they'll have to make a decision. I said it on the show a couple days ago. I think it's an easy call, but they're probably just trying to get whatever potential small bit of trade value there is out of Bull before cutting him.
Don't you also think that probably they're just like, man, we can't get rid of any players right now? Like if there's a world that they would have had to play with Bull and Davon and all of these guys tonight. If this would have happened.
That's actually the real reason the game was canceled, Eric. Because Bull was in line for minutes.
They didn't want to play Bull. It is wild to think. Like, I just kind of feel like we've seen the last of Bull, but maybe not. Maybe the Bull game is ahead of us yet. Who knows? This one comes from David St. Clair. He says, with the amount of players we have out to injury and COVID, is there a real chance we could see Manimal in Denver on a 10-day? Not sure he fits with a fully healthy roster. It would be cool to see under these circumstances. First of all, can I tell you, my number one hope is that the Nuggets get healthy and they just have a healthy rest of the year, no COVID, no anything like that. My second hope, though, if it does go as it feels inevitable that they're going to have these games with call-ups. Why not bring the band back together? What's Ty Lawson up to? Can't we get
Aaron Aflalo? He can't be busy.
Can't we just get like the old Nuggets and play a game as the old Nuggets?
I love it.
Malone's in COVID protocols. Let's get George Karl. I know he's around. Let's get him on the bench. Honestly, if you had a game where you featured like Randy Foye, Jameer Nelson, and Kenneth Faried, I'm 10 out of 10. I'm watching this game.
Oh,
how far can we go though? Can we like feature JJ Hickson too?
Wow.
No, that's where I draw the line. No, but I think how excited we got for all of like the throwback uniforms, like throwback actual players. Like, yes, please. That sounds incredible.
Throwback player night. That's that's going to be written into the CBA next year.
We could be like Marcus Camby, Birdman, Ty Lawson.
Actually, you have to think of the guys that actually could play and might be available. And I'm telling you,
Mozgov.
Kenneth Faried is one of them. Birdman is around. Like, I know he's in Colorado.
So you know who also is around and who lives in Denver is Jimmer Fredette. And Jimmer, if you're watching this show right now, Jimmer Fredette's in the gym. Just go look at his TikTok for evidence. If you're watching the show right now, after the show's over, go look at Jimmer Fredette's TikTok.
I love that you follow Jimmer on TikTok.
Hell yeah.
See, I don't, but when this news broke this morning, I was like, okay, probably Kenneth Faried's first up. Who else is around Denver?
Harrison is a grinder.
Jimmer.
You guys hear
Let's just see what Jimmer's up to. Okay, he's on TikTok a lot. Okay.
I think it's so funny, but Harrison, like, this is what you learn when you do this show. Harrison is a grinder. A portion of his day was dedicated to stalking former Nuggets players that might be available for a 10-day on TikTok. That's a hell of work right there, Harrison.
He's like running hills in what looks like Highlands Ranch. So I don't know.
Even geolocations here. Look, man, I feel like Davon Reed, you know how when a new player comes in and it's like their number's already taken by somebody else and they have to buy the number back. I feel like Davon Reed needs to buy Mr. Dependable back from you. It's his nickname, but it's your nickname too. And you know, you were here first.
I'll have Mr. Reliable. I'm fine having that. I want Davon to have Mr. Dependable.
Plus, reliable. Like, he's Mr. Thesaurus up there. You can't tell me that he can't find another replaceable word or equal word. Come on.
Yeah, I will say, though, the Kenneth Faried question, in all sincerity, like, look, Denver doesn't need Kenneth Faried right now. But if somehow they just fall into it, I mean, I guess Jeff Green and Zeke Naji are out. Maybe they're out for a while. There's worse all I'm saying is there are worse options than letting Kenneth Faried play alongside Nikola Jokic again. Like,
but the greatest part about this. The greatest part about this is that you literally have a Kenneth Faried doll right over your right shoulder, like a good angel and a bad angel. You have Rocky and Kenneth Faried speaking to you. Good angel, bad angel. Kenneth Faried should absolutely come back. I have a whole bunch of old Manimal shirts. I'd be happy to bring back into circulation. Please just make this happen. And couldn't Kenyon Martin just like come from one side of just like move up like?
Kenyon Martin was going through like Nuggets practices during training camp because everybody was hurt.
Darrell Arthur, he's been
same with him.
Totally, get Darth back. Damn it! Now I'm starting to want the old Nuggets back, man. This is for fun. I mean, if you're gonna lose some games, you might as well lose it with the celebrities.
Yeah.
Number 4 here. 2 more questions here. Also, is there a chance that Denver just stays quiet during the deadline? It was reported they were in the market for wing upgrades, but maybe Reed has shown enough to be that wing player they are looking for. That comes from David St. Clair. Is it possible, Harrison, that the Nuggets have done this a lot where we're like, oh, here comes the big move, and the big move is just re-signing the same guys. Do you feel like maybe the Nuggets have their team?
I think it's very possible they could stay quiet. I mean, they'll look around for upgrades, but we've talked about this on the show. What do they really have to trade?
Right.
You know, they don't have that many future picks. Can they get somebody to take on JaMychal Green? That might be hard to do. It's going to be tough to get a guy that you look at and you're like, this guy's a definite upgrade.
Yeah. They took their big shot last year. The Aaron Gordon move, like that was their move. So
the Nuggets trade deadline acquisition is Jamal Murray. Like the Nuggets deadline acquisition is Jamal Murray. You know, it's
absolutely.
Yeah, I also I get the sense from things Michael Malone has said publicly, you know, to us, and also from his interview today with Sam Amick, that the Nuggets, I'm not going to say that they're punting on the season because I don't think they are, but I think that they might be in don't panic mode. Like this season is a bit of an aberration. So I don't know if they do make a move. I do think it's going to be a Troy Daniels-esque type move where it's like, oh, all right, but it's not going to be an impact guy. So
I hope that's the approach they're taking. Like really, it's a law of diminishing returns at this point. Like they're only going to get, they're going to not. It's hard to imagine them making a big upgrade without just hurting their future even more. And again, like they really did like put their dream lineup together at the end of last year. It just immediately all fell apart. They should view the season as the season itself does not matter, but the playoffs matter. Right. And, like they just need to get to the playoffs with some semblance of the team that they actually intended to have playing together. And then if not, then think of it like the Warriors did last year, where they didn't even make the playoffs. They made the play-in, but now this year where they're like a little bit healthy, made a few little changes, and now Clay is coming back, like they're, right back on top. So
a route that the Nuggets could look at for a trade, and I don't want to talk about Kenrich Williams, but this is also why he's really appealing, is because he's also under contract for next year, like making very little money. If they could trade for somebody that's also not making a lot of money next year and just have a rotation spot taken care of, that'd be nice.
Williams or Davon Reed, though, Harrison? Who do you like better?
Maybe Kenrich.
It's so close to me that that's part of me is I'm like, they have their Kenrich Williams is Davon Reed. It's cheaper. He's cheaper.
Mr. Shag versus Mr. Dependable, dude.
I love both of them. Both of them. They are.
Kenrich Williams just a little taller, I think. Little more defensively versatile.
Yeah, but you got to give the tie at the finish line to the guy with the hair that you want to look at, and
the nickname too. Tie goes to the nickname.
Oh, you think Kenny Hustle is worse than Mr. Dependable?
Kenny Hustle is great, but
Kenny Hustle is
Mr. Dependable.
Kenny Hustle and that haircut that like just goes together. He looks like a Kenny Hustle.
It's like Kenny Powers, basically.
He does look like Kenny Powers. The last question here we kind of answered already, but he says, will the Nuggets have to sign a hardship player immediately, or Monte and AG more likely to return next game? If not, the game against Houston could be in question. But we answered this earlier by just saying Denver, if those guys are not able to play, Denver will have to get some hardship players in here to be ready. The problem was those tests came in, it sounds like today, and they just didn't have time to get players in time for the game. But now that you have 48 hours between now and Saturday's game, Denver will have the time to do it. So, so that's that.
It's so ridiculous.
Guys,
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But you know what? We made it through another show. So there's that.
We did it. Let's go.
We'll be back now on Saturday, maybe featuring Kenneth Freed. We don't know. That's
please.
They got the Houston Rockets on deck for the first game of the new year. Guys, everybody, all of my people out in Colorado, help out. Be kind to each other today. More than ever this week, more than ever. Show out for your city. Donate if you feel so called. Offer help to your friends and family in need, or even to your neighbors in need. And be safe here for the holidays. I think we're going to have another one tomorrow. I think we have another show tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow. But then obviously jumping into the new year with a hardship-filled game against the Houston Rockets, 2022. Certain to be off to a great start. Myself, everybody, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for riding with us. Hit like on the way out. We'll see you guys later.